Well, the fourth GOP debate 2 days away on the Fox Business Network. You just heard from Marco Rubio moments ago. Joining me right now is former Hewlett-Packard CEO Carly Fiorina. She just filed late last week for the first in the nation primary in New Hampshire. Carly, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you for having me.
Carly, I want to start on some of the news of the day. We got the president rejecting XL pipeline. We know that. And we got the jobs numbers out on Friday, which were better than a lot of people expected. You know, all of this talk that the economy is moving in slow motion. The numbers Friday, 271,000 new jobs created in the month of October were a lot better than expectations. How do you read it?
Well, the economy is moving in slow motion. And yes, these numbers were above expectations, but the previous 2 months were far below expectations. And even though the unemployment rate continues to fall, the truth is we have record numbers of people who are not working. We have record numbers of people who have just quit looking for work. We have wages that have been stagnant for 40 years. This economy is in slow motion. We're not creating enough jobs, and we have too many people out of work.
You've talked a lot about regulation and how it's really holding back businesses from creating jobs. That's one of the levers to pull, I guess, for job creation. But what is the secret sauce to getting more jobs in this economy today?
Well, I think we have to begin by recognizing where jobs come from. It's mostly, not all, but small and family-owned and community-based businesses create 2/3 of the new jobs. And we're destroying more of them than we're creating now for the first time in U.S. history. That's why I stress simplifying the tax code from 73,000 pages to 3 to help small businesses. It's why we have to roll back the crushing weight of all these regulations that have been spewing out of Washington for 50 years. Energy is another huge job creator. So when the president vetoes the Keystone XL pipeline, of course he would do that. We knew he was going to do that. It's not only worse for the environment, actually, than what we're doing today, but of course, because we are suppressing energy production in this country, we're suppressing the creation of millions of jobs and the lowering of electricity costs. All of these wounds are self-inflicted. That's the bottom line.
You know, you have had some great ideas, but a lot of your colleagues on the stage in this race have also had similar ideas. They call the tax code convoluted. They say the regulatory environment is certainly onerous. How do you stand out? I mean, you look at your poll numbers, Carly, and we see that you've fallen to 3%, tied for in sixth place. What do you do now to stand out, to get your ideas out there and to outmaneuver your colleagues on the stage?
Well, first, let's just remember that on May 4th, when I launched my candidacy, I was 16 out of 16. The polling companies didn't even ask voters about my name because less than 4% of them had ever heard of me. Now I'm in sixth place on the main stage. I kind of like that trajectory, and it's a different trajectory, a faster trajectory than any other candidate out there, particularly given the fact that I remain the least well-known candidate. What differentiates me from others? I have a track record of doing these things. You know, the truth is politicians have been talking about reforming the tax code for 40 years. They've been talking about rolling back the regulatory overreach for 40 years. They've been talking about reducing the size of government, limiting its scope and power. It's all talk. It isn't results. I started as a secretary. The only way you go from a secretary to where I have come in my life is you produce results and you solve problems and you lead. And that's what we need now. Less talk, more results.
And we know that the media has been trying to poke into your story by talking about a record at Hewlett-Packard. Bottom line, you got to be chairman and CEO and had to oversee tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of employees, which is a huge feat in and of itself. But let me read to you what the current CEO, Meg Whitman, said. And I know you know this, of Hewlett-Packard. She says, quote, "It's very difficult for your first role in politics to be the president of the United States." So you've got your former colleagues at Hewlett-Packard sort of poo-pooing this campaign.
Well, that's not quite fair. There are many former colleagues at HP who are right in my corner in this campaign. It's also true that Meg Whitman has a leadership role with Chris Christie. So it's in her interest to say that because clearly she's supporting another candidate. Ours was intended to be a citizen government. We were never intended to have a professional political class. I was brought into HP to save a company during a very difficult time. I've saved jobs. I've created jobs. I know why jobs are destroyed. And the truth is the vast vast majority of politicians don't know that. They've never created a job, they've never saved a job, and they don't know why they come and go. And it actually matters now to understand how the economy works in a global setting.
What do you do in terms of allocating the $600 billion budget in terms of defense spending? How do you allocate that money? Because the president is saying, look, we need to rethink this and revisit this defense allocation because it's too much.
Yes, well, exactly. Isn't it interesting, Maria? The federal government has spent more money each and every year for 40 years. That's been true under Republicans and Democrats alike. And yet we never have enough money to do the important things. The defense of the nation is the federal government's responsibility. The answer to this is if we're going to spend less and yet invest in the areas that need investing, we have to prioritize how we spend. Today we cannot do that because all the money is already spoken for. It's why we have to go to some version of zero-based budgeting. A bill to do that sits on the House floor as we speak. Zero-based budgeting says, you know what? We have to justify every single dollar in every single agency every single year, instead of only talking about the rate of increase over last year and giving bureaucracies permanent hold over the money that's sitting in their budgets. So let's go to zero-based budgeting. Let's pass that bill, and then we can prioritize.
Carly, I know that you're on the campaign trail. You got another 2 days until this next Fox debate, and I will see you in Milwaukee for that debate. How does one prepare for these debates?
Well, first of all, I'm really looking forward to seeing you, Maria. I know you will do a superb job of moderating. You're just a fantastic reporter and always have been, and you ask substantive, issues-based questions, so I'm looking forward to being with you and Neil. I prepare, honestly, by making sure that I am current on the issues of the day, by making sure that I understand all the facts around the various circumstances. I'm pretty clear about my approach, what I believe, what I think, but it's important to be up to date. We've just had, for example, the details of the Trans-Pacific Partnership released, so I want to be sure that I'm up to date on that. And then once you feel prepared, once I feel prepared, you have to go into that setting and be present in the moment and understand what you're being asked and answer it to the best of your ability and go with the flow of the dynamics on that stage. It is issues-based, but let's face it, there's some degree of entertainment in all this as well. And so you have to be there and not be up too much in your head in a briefing book somewhere.
Well, I think that's a really good point. Carly, it's good to see you. Thanks so much. I'll see you on Tuesday in Milwaukee.
Thank you, Maria. See you soon.
Appreciate your time. Carly Fiorina there.